From the sacred text, Jeremiah chapter 31, verse 15, this is what the Lord says: a voice is heard in Ramah, lamenting and bitter weeping. Rachel is weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children because they are no more. I can't breathe were the words that I cried to my dear friend on Tuesday, April 20th, in preparation for the verdict to be released for the case of Minnesota versus Derek Chauvin. I literally thought the breath that was in my body was going to leave me as I waited to see if accountability would be given, because justice could not be served, because justice would mean having George Floyd being home with his family. That day, I thought the breath was going to leave me with overwhelming concern of, are we going to get some kind of accountability? But even before the verdict was released, our sweet baby girl, Ma'Khia Bryant, was killed by the Columbus, Ohio Police Department. And shortly after that, on the same day, I received a call from the mother of one of my mentees in Atlanta, Georgia. She informed me that my mentee had been shot by her white coworker while leaving work and was in ICU fighting for her life. Family, it was too much. It was way too much. And I just knew that that day I was going to probably just pass out because of the overwhelming fear of all of the injustices taking place in this nation. And that was just 1 week, 1 day, family. And you all, we have been in the house now for over a year, and almost 600,000 people have died because the government chose to choose profit over people. And for Black and brown and indigenous and poor people, we were living in a pandemic long before COVID-19 hit. We were living in a pandemic of capitalism, of white supremacy and imperialism. And every year, about 2.6 million people would die as a result of poverty. And family, I want you to know today that I am a native of Saginaw, Michigan, which is right next door to Flint, Michigan. And it is 7 years this year since we have had clean water. I still have family members drinking bottled water because the government decided to take the water from the Detroit River and put in the Flint River. And the Flint River water was so corroded that the General Motors plant there, would not use the water because it was rusting parts on the cars. One of our leaders from the Poor People's Campaign in Michigan, she lost her twins. She was pregnant. She lost them as a result of the Flint water crisis. Not only that, her dear son, Jalen, who continues to have many health challenges, the doctor said that he will never, ever recover from all of the lead that was in his body. America, this is a shame. And so in this country, you all, our babies are dying at unprecedented rates because we have the highest rate of child poverty in the world. According to the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival, we did an audit on America, and we found that half of the children, 39 million here in the divided states of America, are poor or low income. We found out that 1.5 million public school students experienced homelessness in the 2017-2018 school year. More than 250,000 children are removed from their homes by the child welfare system or separated from their parents at the border each year. And as of April 2020, 1 in 5 children did not have reliable computer access at home. And family, we've been at home now, and we know what has happened with our children in our schools. And so many of our babies have not been able to get their education because they don't have what they need. And I don't care what Senator Tim Scott and Vice President Kamala Harris say. America is a racist country. And for them to say that is a slap in the face to all the people who have been beat down by the system. And that is so bad when we know that people are dying from environmental racism. They're dying from voter suppression. They're dying from economic exploitation, from medical apartheid. That is systemic racism at its finest. its finest, family. We must see that the knee has long been on our neck before the knee was put on the neck of George Floyd. In 2018, the Poor People's Campaign released its audit called The Souls of Poor Folks from 1967 to current. We found that there were 140 million poor or low income people in this nation. There are millions more we know as a result of this pandemic. And I want to just be very clear, when we started telling people last year to go home and to be at home and to quarantine and to make sure that you were out of place, how can we say that when millions of our people in this country don't have a place to lay their head? Here in this country, the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour has not gone up in more than a decade. We say in the Poor People's Campaign, it has taken this country 400 years plus to go from free labor. That's what my ancestors were. They didn't get no money from picking in the cotton fields. They were free labor. And now the federal minimum wage is only $7.25. And what we know to be true, because we did a moral budget for this country, raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour would immediately put $328 billion into our economy. Medical debt in this country is the leading cause of personal bankruptcy. Prior to the pandemic, 87 million people were uninsured or underinsured. An additional 12 million people have lost employer-provided insurance during the pandemic. And that is why we have almost 600,000 people have died because of the pandemic, because so many of our people didn't have what they need before the pandemic. We in this country need Medicaid expansion and universal single-payer health care for all people. I gotta say that loud and clear on today. We in the divided states of America need to make sure that we have Medicaid expansion and universal single-payer health care for all people. And I know that we just celebrated Earth Day a few weeks ago, but our planet is being destroyed by climate change and environmental injustice. 1 in 3 Americans are at risk of not being able to afford water in the next 5 years. The U.S. Department of Defense was responsible, family, for 72% of the U.S. government's total greenhouse gas emissions in 2016. We need the government to cut $350 billion from the military, including the budget for the most polluting defense activity. The government, the people who have the wealth, the capitalistic society is polluting our air and our earth, but then we throw it on the backs of poor people in this country and say they are the reason that this is happening. It's not poor people. Poor people just happen to live in the most deplorable conditions, and it's not right. It's another way of having a knee on our necks. The US ranks #1 in the world for military spending and has 800 plus bases around the world. The US military budget was $756 billion for 2020. For every federal discretionary dollar, 53 cents goes to the military and only 15 cents goes to anti-poverty spending. And so I am from the generation of Tupac Shakur, who I believe was a true prophet. And Tupac says, we have money for wars, but can't feed the poor. This month, family, is Mental Health Month, and so many services have been cut for our people. The Census Bureau data this month showed that U.S. mental health problems have reached an all-time high, with almost half of Americans now showing signs of clinical anxiety or depression. I remember living in Washington, D.C. from 2013 to 2016, and I volunteered at a shelter that is now closed because of gentrification. But at that time, they were in need of extreme funding for mental health services, and the city government denied the request. And most of our homeless kinfolks, I want to be very clear, most of our homeless kinfolks who are on the street are dealing with mental health crises because of the exploited system that they live in. And 75% of incarcerated people suffer from mental health challenges. Today, family, I can hear the words of Fannie Lou Hamer, one of our sheroes in this fight for freedom, when she boldly proclaimed at the Democratic National Convention in 1964, she said, I question America. Is this America, the land of the free and the home of the brave? where we have to sleep with our telephones off the hooks because our lives be threatened daily because we want to live as decent human beings in America. And those words still remain true when we have mothers today not being able to fully celebrate Mother's Day because they are grieving the loss of their dear child because America has had its knee on her child's neck and they are no more. I can hear the modern day Ramas crying. I can hear Sabrina Fulton crying out for her baby, Trayvon Martin. Trayvon! I can hear Leslie McSpadden crying out for her baby, Michael Brown. Michael. I can hear Geneva Reedville crying out for her dear baby, Sandra Bland. Sandra. I can hear Lucia McBath crying out for her baby, Jordan Davis. Jordan. I can hear Gwen Carr crying out for her baby, Eric Gardner. Oh, my dear Eric, who couldn't breathe because they stopped his air from putting their knee on his neck. Wanda Cooper Jones crying out for her baby, Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud! And I can hear the mother of Nina Pop crying out for her dear baby, my dear Nina. And I can hear Tamika Palmer crying out for her baby, Breonna Taylor. Breonna! Oh, and I can hear Wanda McDade crying for her baby, Tony McDade. Tony! And I can hear Katie Wright crying for her baby, Dante Wright. Dante! Oh, and I can hear Paula Bryant crying for her baby, Ma'Khia Bryant. Ma'Khia. And I can hear the mother of Andrew Brown crying for her baby, Andrew. And we can hear the mothers, can you hear them? The mothers of all of our Asian kin who were killed in Atlanta. I can hear their mothers saying, my children are no more. And this month, we will commemorate the 1 year, and the 1 year, it ain't an anniversary, but the 1 year death, the lynching of Brother George Floyd. And in that last few moments of his life, George Floyd called out, Mama! Mama! I can't. And oh, this is just a few of all that has happened in this country. We all know that there are many, many more. There are so many more that we don't know about. And it is just not that those people are being are being killed by police brutality, but they are being killed by a corrupt system in which we live. Family Rama is crying. Can you hear her? Can you hear her? Can you hear the mother who is working 2 jobs trying to make ends meet? Huh? Do you hear her? Do you hear the mother living in her car with her 3 children? Do you hear the mother whose child has been taken from her and put in a cage? Can you hear the cries of our people? So today I am here because the cries have taken over, y'all. I am so tired. I'm like Fannie Lou Hamer. I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. It is time for us, the people of faith or no faith at all, to do as our ancestors before us, for us to come together and for us to take this nation back, to make it one of love, justice, and dignity for all people. And family, it's just not enough for us to say that Black lives matter, that Asian lives matter. We've got to put some skin in this game, and we've got to work together like never before to take this system down. And Dr. King told us what we must do. He said it in his speech in Beyond Vietnam in 1967, and it remains true today. He said, we as a nation must undergo a radical revolution of values. We must rapidly begin the shift from a thing-oriented society to a person-oriented society. When machines and computers and profit motives and property rights are considered more important than the people, the giant triplets of racism, militarism, and materialism are incapable of being conquered. True compassion is more than flinging a coin to a beggar. It is not haphazard and superficial. It comes to see that an edifice which produces beggars needs restructuring. A true revolution of values will soon look uneasily on the glaring contrast of poverty and wealth. A nation that continues year after year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. And I can hear, I'm from the old Baptist church, I can hear them singing in the old Baptist church the song saying, Satan, we're going to tear your kingdom down. Satan, we're going to tear your kingdom down. You've been building your kingdom all over this world. Satan, we're going to tear your kingdom down. And I don't like the word in using that of Satan, but I say that in sense of the evil forces that we have to take down, the evil forces of the world that have been killing our people for too long, and we are not taking it anymore. We have got to stand up and speak truth to power no matter what time it is, and we cannot be complacent, because every day our children and our people are dying. We, the people, have got to do like Mother Jones says. We must pray for the dead and fight like hell for the living. Oh, we must embody Fannie Lou Hamer, who said it sometimes seems like to tell the truth today is to run the risk of being killed. But if I fall, I'll fall 5 feet 4 inches forward in the fight for freedom. I'm not backing off. And we must embody the words of Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel, who famously said, in Selma, Alabama, I learned to pray with my feet. And as Dr. King told us, he said, I choose to identify with the underprivileged. I choose to identify with the poor. I choose to give my life for the hungry. I choose to give my life for those who have been left out of the sunlight of opportunity. I choose to live for those who find themselves seeing life as a long and desolate corridor with no exit sign. This is the way that I am going. If it means suffering a little bit, I'm going that way. If it means sacrificing, I'm going that way. If it means dying for them, I'm going that way, because I heard a voice saying, do something for others. And as the young people who have been organizing in the streets, oh, the young people are making it happen, y'all. And they're keeping the pressure on the system and demanding change. The young folks got a quote that say, if we don't get no justice, you don't get no peace. We need to take that motto today and understand, until we get justice, there will be no peace. And we must get the knee off the necks of the most vulnerable in this nation, family. So today I leave you with the words of one of my dear heroes, Saint Archbishop Oscar Romero, who coined this poem, we are prophets of a future not our own. It helps now and then to step back and take the long view. The kingdom is not only beyond our efforts, it is beyond our vision. We accomplish in our lifetime only a tiny fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is God's work. Nothing we do is complete, which is another way of saying that the kingdom always lies beyond us. No statement says all that could be said. No prayer fully expresses our faith. No confession brings perfection. No pastoral visit brings wholeness. No program accomplishes the church's mission. No set of goals and objectives includes everything. This is what we are about. We plant seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that the whole future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We provide yeast that produces effects beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything, and there is a sense of liberation in realizing that. This enables us to do something and to do it very well. And it may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for God's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end result, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders, ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future not our own. And so today, I come to you with a heavy heart. I come to you full, knowing that today is not a happy Mother's Day for many mothers in this country and around the world. So I'm calling on us, the people of faith or no faith who are of conscience, for us to do some introspection and really figure out how are we going to take the knee off of the necks of our children, off of the necks of our people. So I challenge us all today to go deeper in this work of justice. I ask you today, will you be a chaplain of the empire or a prophet of God? Or will you ask Rhema to stop crying and tell her that everything is all right? Or will you stand up with others to fight against the system that is killing us all? This is our time. Nobody is coming to save us. It's up to us. We can wait for the government if we want. We're waiting on a filibuster right now because they don't even want to give us $15 an hour. It's up to us to organize together. So I ask you, if you haven't already, joined the Poor People's Campaign, or join a trusted movement that is seeking to bring liberation to all people. We've got work to do. We can't rest. We can't just do charity. We've got to bring justice to this land, and we got to make it roll down like a mighty stream. It is our time. We must act now. Ashe, amen, namaste, and blessed be.